You know, a lot of people ask why. Why treat the customer this way? Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
Frittata!
Get the Yong out of here. We're not watching your version of the news. Also, you suck as Kiryu. Get the hell out of here.
Judgment.
Okay, anyway, sorry. Just letting out some inner hate. So, new Nintendo of America policy asks users to give up their rights to a class action lawsuit and call customer service instead. Most matters can be quickly resolved in this manner.
I want your soul.
Okay, well, listen, it should go without saying that when you sign user agreements with these companies, don't be surprised when it includes a lot of things like this. Not being able to sue them, allowing them to spy on you. Really, Windows? Really?
Microsoft.
Can see everything.
Allowing them to spy on you, allowing them to sell your private info, allowing them to deny you access to games in your system if you don't go along with their rules. Consoles come with strings attached. People need to remember this. This is why I don't console game. I can respect the whole idea of convenience and an all-in-one place to have your gaming experiences, but consoles are very strict, very regulated devices, and I'm someone who likes to do things that are illegal. Anyway, like it's pointed out here in the article, no more Joy-Con drift suits then? Yeah, that's right. Don't expect to be able... What? Don't expect to be able to sue Nintendo if the Switch 2 has Joy-Con drift. Nintendo's got some of the best lawyers on the planet. It wouldn't even be worth your time, but nonetheless, they don't even want you to try. Nintendo of America's latest end user license agreement includes a new segment asking users to agree to waive their right to join a class action... Chingada! Their right to join a class action lawsuit against the company. During the lifespan of Nintendo Switch, Joy-Con drift was a hot topic, and one that got Nintendo a lot of heat from fans. It was the subject of 2 class action lawsuits filed in 2019 and 2020 that were eventually dismissed. And while Nintendo has confirmed that the new Joy-Con 2 controllers are designed from scratch with new sticks, although they don't have Hall effect sticks, there's been no confirmation that the problem is fixed for Nintendo Switch 2. Regardless of whether it's fixed or not, Nintendo clearly wants to avoid more class action legal issues, which is hilarious because all Nintendo knows how to do is start lawsuits against other people. There's so many right now as we speak. They just don't want you to drag them into any, but they want to have the right to go and sue everybody else. Again, it's a one-way relationship. Consoles come with strings attached, yada yada. As a user on Reddit pointed out that the latest EULA for US Nintendo accounts, Clause 16 of the EULA reads, "This arbitration provision precludes you and Nintendo from suing in court, having a trial by jury, or participating in a class action. You and Nintendo agree that arbitration will be solely on an individual basis and not as a class arbitration, class action, or any other kind of representative proceeding. You and Nintendo are each waiving the right to trial by a jury."
Whatever. Defense rests. Everybody can fuck off.
So if you want to seek a class action lawsuit, you're out of luck. It's going to be you and you alone with whatever lawyer is willing to have the easiest payday of their life, because lawyers don't care if they win or lose. Now, you may be wondering, why is Nintendo doing this? Well, you know, in the words of Dave Chappelle, because fuck them, that's why. No, it's because 90% of the time, a company will win a case of arbitration. Class action lawsuits filed by several people over one specific or multiple issues can be ongoing and financially draining for companies. I mean, not that Nintendo doesn't have an endless supply of money to deal with it, but they just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to hear it anymore. They say, send us your Switch and we will fix it for free instead. Don't take us to court. There's a funny thing, you know, petty people like me would love to take Nintendo to court and make their life annoying. Why? Because of what they did to Power World. And now they've taken that freedom away from us. Now we can't troll Nintendo the way they troll the industry. That's just not fair. I want to hurt Nintendo's feelings. But waiving your right to a trial on a class action lawsuit that deals with a major issue like this, that's just evil. And it's all a part of Nintendo's updated user agreement, where they have modified rules and made the Switch 2 an even more restrictive device than the Switch 1. There's a user out there who has compared the differences between the two user agreements, showing you that the updated version is even more anti-consumer than ever before. Users are also given the right to opt out of Nintendo's arbitration requirement by sending written notice of this decision to the company's Redmond, Washington headquarters. What? However, you'll only have 30 days from the day you agree to the EULA to do so.
Because fuck them, that's why.
They're making it a pain in the ass. And they're doing that on purpose. Of course, they're gonna make it a headache to the consumer because they don't want you to do it. This is to discourage you from ever trying to file anything at Nintendo. And I know how hypocritical that seems, right? Because Nintendo loves taking people to court, but Nintendo hates going to court when they screw you over. So let me get this straight. You have to handwrite a notice of the decision and then mail it to them, and you'll only have 30 days after you agree? That's how you're supposed to get past it? You know they did that because at least 99% of people are not going to do that. People are just going to surrender because I guess the Switch 2 is just so hot, you got to throw your dignity away in order to have access to it. Oh, also a huge chunk of your wallet and your privacy too, don't forget. And then you got to mail it to Redmond, Washington. I'm guessing this is for American audiences, right? Unless you live in another part of the world and you literally have to mail it to Redmond, Washington. And then they give you a limit of 30 days? 30 fucking days. This company really doesn't want you to take them to court, do they? As the article also points out, it's very similar to what Disney did with their Disney Plus terms. When a customer died in Disneyland and Disney didn't ever want people to sue them again. I mean, these companies are evil. They're outright evil. They're selling your private info and they're charging you to steal your info while they're doing it. And now they don't even want you to take them to court to expose them. Now, if we go to that user on Reddit, we get a little more info here. Been seeing this constantly pop up with other companies. Remember the Disneyland guy who can't sue for his wife's fatal allergic reaction because he agreed to Disney Plus EULA? Yeah, can't believe Nintendo to be one of them as well now. Despite being neutral, corporations win arbitration 90+% of the time. Users will also waive the right to file class action lawsuits against them. What sucks is that while you can opt out of this, they make it almost impossible to do so. Yeah, and then he goes over the 30-day agreement and having to mail them and all of that. Now, if you're wondering why it is that a lot of these companies opt for forced arbitration over class action lawsuits, it's all written here. Forced arbitration is bad for consumers. Yeah, no shit. Many financial institutions use forced arbitration clauses in their contracts to block consumers with disputes from banding together in court.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
Instead, requiring consumers to argue their cases separately in private arbitration proceedings, embattled banking giant Wells Fargo made headlines by embracing the practice to avoid offering class-wide relief for its practices related to the fraudulent account scandal and another scandal involving, again, because the Joy-Con issue was so widespread, so huge, Nintendo wanted to ensure they could avoid a class action lawsuit like that. I mean, just imagine if it turns out that they're spying on you way more than you thought with that Switch camera. Imagine if you find out there are more defects to the Switch 2 than people thought. Guess what? No class action lawsuit will ever be able to take place again. Nintendo isn't doing this for any sort of pro-consumer reason, okay? Now, let's not go ahead and act like all hope is gone completely, because one user specifically in this comment actually had a brilliant suggestion to get past this. So here is how you defeat a measure like this. You file for arbitration in a state like California, where the corporation that forces arbitration on its customers are required to cover the cost of filing it. Then you mass file because the EULA deems that each case has to be individually arbitrated. It's going to cost Nintendo a ton of money to complete these filings. So there is still a way of fucking with Nintendo. Now keep in mind, this could take months up to years for any of these to go through, but the whole point is to constipate Nintendo with a bunch of them until their asshole stretches so wide you rip a hole in their anal cavity. And they're surely to feel that, right? We can't forget Nintendo lobbied the Japanese government into trying to make modding consoles illegal. As we speak, Nintendo has most of the law in their favor, and it should not be that way. But, again, like I said, consumers have allowed it. You all went and you pre-ordered the damn thing. You gave them the funding to do all of this, and then you're gonna cry, which is hilarious to me. To me, what it shows is Nintendo doesn't have confidence in their Joy-Cons, and I don't believe they have fully addressed the issue. I think a lot of people are going to be reporting drifting, and Nintendo is just readying themselves to discourage lawsuits, especially class action ones. The good news is most countries don't actually follow these EULAs, but most people out there won't actually know about this if people weren't reporting it, and I wish I was the first to tell you. But there's several others out there warning you, letting you know ahead of time. I think it's important that we all recognize exactly what freedoms we're signing away. Well, you're signing away, because I'm never buying this thing. Personally, I think this EULA just shows that Nintendo has no confidence in their product. They're expecting a lot of class action lawsuits this generation. Why else would they be doing this? If it's not to protect themselves, then it's for some other malicious reason, because I see no single bit of evidence to suggest it's to protect consumers. Nothing here, by the way, seems to be legally binding, okay? This is just a hurdle Nintendo's throwing at you to make it far more difficult to sue them. In which case, I highly suggest you start researching your options ahead of time now. Or, you could do the very easy thing and not buy the device. But, nobody's gonna listen to me on that one, so listen to the other suggestion. Because Nintendo has told everybody else in the user agreement that if you disagree with it, you must cancel your Nintendo account and stop using the network services. And then they proceed to show you how to do that. Fuck this company. They're using the law to absolve them of any sort of accountability or responsibility to the consumer. Now, it's important to remind people that Nintendo is not the only company on this planet doing this, okay? When it comes to your PC hardware, when it comes to your phones, your tablets, your smart TVs, your printers, everything you can think of, bit by bit, these corporations update their user agreements to take more and more liberties and rights away from you. Nintendo's just a hot topic because they are one of the best examples of how corporations do this. It's time you start actually reading those user agreements. Look at what they are doing and realize how far we have been removed from the freedom we once had with our devices. They are a lot more restrictive, and the responsibility lies on you to be informed. So, with that information planted in your head, it's up to you to choose what to do with it. Just like you should like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. That way, when I get to 100K, I will face reveal with that silver play button. And honestly, I'm amazed. Like, you guys are subbing at the craziest rate I have ever seen on this channel. Let's get me up to 80K, but 100K is the goal. And that being said, I'll see you in the next video.
Fritongo sucks ass.